What is up, my cutouts cardboard ninja here coming at you with the part 2 of the new Hyperborea faction update information from the dev vlog. Hello survivors, we continue to observe the parts and new faction prepare for the arrival of the Hyperboreans into the valley. They're going to discuss the new tank track, a legendary machine gun, as well as a number of structural parts. Let's just go to the structural parts first because they're faster and easier to go through. 2x1x2. I actually like this. There are a few 2x1x2s in the game, but well, you can always use more of those. It's a little square basically. The 1x1x2, we have a couple of those in the game as well. The one thing that I kind of want that they aren't seeming to give, they're not showing up with the Hyperborea faction, is a 1x1x3. Those are actually very useful, or a new 1x1x4. Right now we have like van parts or things like that for the 1x1x4s, and I don't know, it'd be nice to have a few more of those in the game. Also, I would like a 3x1x3. I know that that's an odd request, or a 3x2, 2x3x1. Basically, we don't have many parts that cover odd numbers. Having a by 3 is always very useful. Those are basically like van windows, eastern western fronts are 1x3x4s, things like that. Rare, I know, something that I would just like to see in the game, but they aren't coming out with it. The Captain's Bridge, the 4x2x2, looks a lot like some of the old machinist parts that the yellow faction is. The darn it, I'm pretty sure it's machinists. But yeah, these are looking good. Could be cool. All right, let's go through the parts people care about. Sleipnir tank track. This is going to occupy a place in the track meta below the light track and above the reinforced track. They say at first glance it looks similar to the reinforced track. The differences between the light track, reinforced track, and this track are going to be that I believe it's going to be faster than the reinforced track, but slower than the light track, which actually means it's playable. As we all know, tank tracks are not meta, with the exception of the light track. Small tracks, because small tracks have 90 kph top speed. I'm going to assume this is going to be in between in speed. Additionally, this has, according to this, higher road clearance, meaning that's going to be higher off the ground than the light tracks and probably the reinforced tracks. They're saying they're doing this because of the fact that trying to build underneath the frame on any of those tracks ends up typically with dragging parts. So as you can see up here, it's going to have slightly higher clearance to the frame. So that could be interesting. Though there are upsides and downsides to both of these things. Having more clearance to the frame means that on impact, anyone who's played Crossout, you know you're going to end up on top of someone else's build. Being lifted to the ground, off of the ground is never a good thing, etc. But in addition to that, this track comes with another equally important feature. They claim that this has 2.5 times more fire resistance than the reinforced track, saying flamethrowers, fire puddles, and mandrakes and porcupines and all that stuff, it's going to have more fire resistance, so you're not going to be worried about being immobilized when driving through them. Just a side note, that's never happened with any track. You're not scared of weapon heating. You're not scared of fire with tracks. The reason why you're scared of fire is because of your generator. You're scared of fire because of all the reasons why you're normally scared of fire. Nobody has heated up a track and shut it off unless it was a armored track or a tank track or the very large track that comes in the pack. Those are really the only ones that you shoot through. You don't shoot through smaller tracks. Smaller tracks aren't necessarily a protective measure, so they're not actually protecting you. Or protecting parts from like most shots. So 9 times out of 10, people aren't trying to shoot through your track, and it looks like it only gives resistance to fire damage itself, not resistance to the overheating properties of the fire weapons, which is the only reason why you use the fire weapons in the first place, with the exception of the Draco and not the porcupine. Well, the porcupine used for straight damage, but the firebug. So having increased resistance to fire damage, not really that important. This is a track, and so because, among other distance from reinforced tracks, it's slightly higher speed, lower tonnage and durability. Yeah, standard stuff. Tracks don't have a perk. No track does. And so this track doesn't really have a perk. The only thing that can really swap around is damage resistance. The only other track that does not follow the standard damage resistance that all tracks give are the armored track. The armored track comes with an increased blast resistance, whereas no other track comes with blast resistance for some reason, and apparently not even this one. But this one's just going to have more thermal resist. That's irrelevant. All this is a track that's higher off the ground, slightly faster. You're never going to see the thermal resist come into play in the game. Other than that, I think it's kind of cool. I think if it's probably fast enough that it will not necessarily be meta, but it will be viable. Being viable is the most you can hope for with tracks, and I think this will be viable. Having a higher clearance, cool. Thermal resistance, whatever. But yeah, can't wait to see it. It'll be kind of neat to have. Legendary machine gun, the No Thung. Is this supposed to be like a play off the No Thing? Nothing? No Thung? Anyway, the No Thung rotates freely around its axis, so this is similar to all tap-fire machine guns then, meaning that it is a 360-degree turreted weapon. They say that you compare it to the Aspect and Vindicator, and it loses nothing with accuracy, so it appears to be another tap-fire machine gun. The perk is the first 5 shots after overheating, it does 100% bonus damage. So basically, you have double damage in your first 5 shots, but every shot after that is standard damage, and you need to overheat and cool down to get those first 5 shots. This seems like a unique perk at a glance, but it is not. This is actually very, 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 very similar to the Gravistar. And the... I think one of the shotguns, no, that was the parser, never mind. Yeah, this is the Gravistar's perk, effectively. They say advice for the future, take a closer look at this machine gun in conjunction with the new Epic cabin, which they have not yet spoken about, and a cooler. Not a cooler, but mini coolers. This weapon is able to work real wonders, etc. So the overall idea here is, if you're looking to eke out that plus 100% damage with this Tapfire Beast, obviously you want no radiators whatsoever, which means this will have a unique non-synergy with the favorite cabin, which is interesting, as the favorite cabin typically is what one goes to for weapons of this nature. But yeah, you do not want the favorite cabin. You want your weapons to overheat as much as possible, so you obviously do not want to put radiators on. You just throw on a slew of coolers, and you'll be reaching that plus 100% damage bonus as often as possible. This is basically the Gravistar, but on a machine gun. That's very interesting. Minus, of course, the Gravistar's heating itself. I think this is going to be interesting. Depending on how many of these you get in the upcoming Battle Pass, depends on how good these are going to be. They may give 1, 2, or 3 in past whenever they give away weapons that are light. They can give away up to 3 in the Battle Pass, I believe. I'm trying to remember if they gave away 3 of that. Yeah, they give away 3. They gave away 3 of the, not Guardians, but the not Tapfire, but front-facing machine guns. But those were teal. Those were special tier. This is epic tier or above. No, this is legendary. I don't know if they're going to give away 3 of these. There's almost no way that they're going to give away 3 of these. They're probably going to give away 2. These things probably take 4 energy each, so you're going to have to build 1 and fuse it if you're interested in getting 3 fused no tongues. But yeah, could be interesting. I don't know how well it's going to play out, to be honest. This feels a lot like a cross between 2 weapons to me. Obviously, I've already mentioned the Gravistar based on the way the perk runs, but also the revolver machine gun that is escaping me off the top of my head. Why can I not remember the name of the revolver machine gun? You fire 6 shots, it reloads. Its perk is that the last shot does double damage. Cannot remember it for the life of me, but this seems very similar to that. And I don't know if this would outperform other machine guns of its ilk, like the Aspect and the Vindicator. Time will tell. It'll depend entirely on how much of the damage it does per shot. I'm going to assume that the damage it does per bullet starts out effectively exactly the same as the Aspect or the Vindicator. Not the Vindicator, because the Vindicator has its damage divided by 2 between 2 bullets, but the Aspect, I think its base damage is going to be similar to the Aspect. So getting those 5 shots at 100% is going to be nice, considering the Aspect you can't really get to 100%, because the Aspect's perk is that as your weapon overheats, it deals bonus damage, and by the time you get to the end of the overheat, that's when it gets to 100% damage bonus, but you can't actually get the 100% because you're the weapon that overheats, etc. I think that this will be easier to use than the Aspect, but I think that ultimately both the Aspect as well as this No Thung are going to obviously still pale in comparison to the Punisher, which will outperform it in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, that's the new information coming out for the new Battle Pass in this Hyperborea dev vlog. I like the parts. I don't know. The weapons are iffy, but I mean, if you're just getting into this, you know, maybe. But before I leave, though, I'm going to go back to the part one of this for one simple reason. I want to talk again about the light generator. There's probably repercussions happening now in Crossout's market about this. I have not looked, but I realize now this is coming in the Battle Pass. This is a Battle Pass generator, not just being introduced to Crossout, but this is a Battle Pass generator. It's a generator that you can get by purchasing the Battle Pass. This is going to kill the price of the Apollo. It should. And then in addition to that, if you're brand new to Crossout, this is a heavy incentive, a heavy incentive to purchasing and updating and you know, keeping up the Battle Pass, at least leveling it up to get to this generator, because usually it takes a good long time to get an epic generator in Crossout. Sorry, legendary generator in Crossout, also epic generator, but legendary generator in Crossout. This could give you one that is already fused. So that's actually huge for the Battle Pass, and actually for newer players makes that of an extreme value for bang for your buck for a Battle Pass for 15 bucks. You know, get all the slew of parts, get the cosmetics and all that good stuff, get this legendary cabin, which could be hilarious. But the legendary light generator is a huge icing on the top of a cake, especially for new players who don't have the 4 energy generator. This could escalate a lot of people to end game real quickly. Just want to point that out. I didn't point that out in the last video I made on this because I didn't think about it properly, but then I was thinking about it later. I'm like, wait a minute, this could actually, you know, make a lot of new players' days. Anyway, just wanted to point that out. Just bring that up. Comments below, as you know. Peace.